Namaskar. Myself, Dr. Satyendra Kumar, Associate Professor of English, Pandit Lalit Mohan Sharma, Shri Deo Suman Uttarakhand University Campus, Rishikesh, Dehradun. At the outburst of the outthrust of COVID-19, I snatched the opportunity to interact with you through this device in this critical time. Dear, as we are aware, time is out of joint, and remaining at home, we have to utilize that time. So, this is the only means of communication through which I am sharing this clip with you. I hope you would enjoy. Without the knowledge of William Shakespeare, one can't do graduate and postgraduate. For UG and PG, the knowledge of William Shakespeare is must. Now, I am with you to deal with his one of the best sonnets, 116 sonnets, which he began with imperative sentence, the word let, and following the pattern of enjambment running on line. But before I start, let me have its background. This genre of the sonnet came into existence in the 13th century in Italy, where Petrarch was the most brilliant practitioner of this form. He coined his own pattern and rhyme scheme as dividing into octave of 8 lines and sestet of 6 lines, giving his own rhyme scheme as ABBA, ABBA, CDE, CDE. The very word sonnet, derived from Italian word sonetto, means a little strain. It is always of 14 lines. Later on, this form came into England in the 16th century by White and Say, and this genre practiced by Shakespeare, so known as Shakespearean sonnet, as Petrarchan sonnet was also known as Petrarchan or classical or Italian. Similarly, Shakespearean sonnet known as Shakespearean because he belongs to 16th century, named after him, apart from 3 more names given to this 16th century as Jacobean age, Elizabethan age, and Renaissance or Renaissance age. William Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets, 37 plays for long poems and 1 short. Critic says that if he had written only Hamlet, he would have been as much famous as he is after writing 37 plays. Critic unveiled if he had written 116 sonnets, he would have been as much famous as he is after writing 154 sonnets. But whatever it is, the fact is there that Shakespeare unlocked his heart in the sonnets. His sonnets are the window to peep through his heart, mind, and soul. And he dedicated these sonnets to Dark Lady as well as to friend, and identity of both is not known to us. But one fact is sure, all these sonnets are the best example of his mind, heart, and soul. Shakespeare, who was the prince among dramatists, was equally the prince among sonneteers. He did not follow old pattern or tradition or trend of sonnets. Rather, he coined, conceived his own pattern known as three quatrains of 4 lines each, followed by a couplet of 2 lines, and rhyme scheme ABAB, CD, EF, and GG. The interesting things about his sonnets is that he conveyed some message after dedicating to dark lady as well as to friend. The present sonnet begins with imperative sentence, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. He is so much confident about the love that he accepts no hindrance, no obstacles in the way to come ahead. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds. If there is any change in the passage of the love, then it is not true love. It may be, but not true love as the poet claims, or bends with the remover to remove. If there is such situations that it is going to surrender, then it is also not true love. He further adds, oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. When we see hurricane, tempest, so we find everything moving. But love doesn't come in the grip of tempest or cyclone or hurricane. It cannot be it cannot be removed, it cannot be shaken by these things which can shake each and every one. So it is fixed as the star. It is the star to every wandering bark. The word bark contains grammatical term homonym. Homonym means such words in which we have one pronunciation, one spelling, but two meaning. Here, bark, barking of the dog, and ship or small boat. So bark is example of homonym. Such things can be written in the critical comments while students writing the explanation to get higher marks. So the poet goes to say that it is just like a star whose worth is unknown. Value of this star is not known to us. Although his height be taken, we can measure its height from earth to sky. But the value of this star can only be told by those wandering persons who have lost their way in the ocean. Namely, only the sufferer knows where the shoe pinches. जाके पावना फटी बुआई वह क्या जाने पीर पर आई. When a person finds himself in the ocean without any direction, it is the lodestar, it is the pole star which makes him come on the bank of the ocean. So that time value of the star can be felt. He further adds, love is not time's fool. He personifies time in the form of farmer. Though rosy lips and cheeks, all the worldly things, all the physical objects are going to die. Within his bending sickle's compass come. Again the word compass brings to us the use used by John Donne in a valediction forwarding morning. When he was going abroad and his wife is weeping, shedding tears, wailing, he gives the example of the compass. Thy soul, thou first fool, makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. Though he is going abroad, but he is giving consolation to his wife that you are just like the first leg remaining at home, and I am the second leg going outside. When any mathematicians draw any circle, both the legs of the compass is needed. First leg remaining at the center, though remain fixed, but inclines toward the second leg in order to complete the circle. Ergo, the importance of both cannot be underestimated. Similarly, Shakespeare brings to the mind of the readers the value of the compass. Within the range of the sickle, everything is destroyed. But so far as my love is concerned, it is beyond the compass, it is beyond the grip of the worldly thing. So my love is not transient, it is ever. Love alters not with its brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. From cradle to the grave my love goes, and the worldly things like hours, weeks, they are passing slowly. But my love is beyond the grip of these things. And finally, he culminates his sonnet with a couplet, if this be error, and upon me brood, I never it, nor no man ever loved. Dear William Shakespeare claims that love is true, which accepts, which doesn't come within the grip of the worldly things. My love is just like a star that is fixed. My love doesn't come within the grip of time. My love is true love, and true love needs no any separation like the love of John Donne. Dear, whenever you attempt the explanation, don't forget to write the critical comments, on the basis of which students get more marks. And also prepare Shakespeare as a writer of sonnet, or Shakespeare as a sonneteer. With this, we come to the end of this clip. Thank you. You would enjoy and have a good day.